Hi guys, my name is Quao. I'm a tutor on Cambly and I'm from New York. And today I'm going to explain writing. All you need to know about writing structure, the basics, and some other useful details that you can apply in your homework, in your essays, in college, and even at work. Okay. Now, one very important thing to consider is that writing is divided into two main groups. Writing in the first group is considered narrative writing. Many of you know what narrative writing is. Writing for a story, writing about an experience, writing about an anecdote. All of this falls into the category of narrative writing, right? And narrative writing in its structure is quite simple. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So even though the names are not so exciting, we know that they each have a very specific detail that explains what they are, right? In narrative writing, the beginning introduces us to the characters, the scenes, the circumstances, the atmosphere. So it starts to talk about everything and how everything is, how things happen, who will act, who will be involved in the story. That is the beginning. The middle obviously goes in the middle, but it includes what happens, all of the interesting activities, all of the fights, all of the romances, all of the action goes right in the middle. And that's where the story starts to develop. Obviously, after a little while, a story has to end. And it obviously ends at the end. But the end has the conclusion of all of these stories. What happens to the characters? What happens to the place? How time goes on? Right? All of this is included in the end. Now, something very important about narrative writing that you probably know by now is that it is all written in the past. All narrative writing is in the past, okay? Because if something happened as a story, it has to be in the past. We can't really predict the future. And only very, very, very few times is it written in something that isn't the past. But this is only for creative reasons. The correct grammatical way to write a story, an experience, an anecdote, anything that is narrative is in the past. Now we go on to the other form, which is essay writing. And essay writing is a little bit more complex and a little bit more interesting in its structure than narrative writing. Essay writing is based on what I call the 4-point system. And the 4-point system is intro, info, analysis, and conclusion. These 4 points give us the general structure and a guide as to how to write an essay or almost any informative document or even speech. You can present an essay in a speech, you can present it as text, whatever you prefer, but as long as you follow intro, info, analysis, and conclusion, you will probably be spot on. Right? So what are these 4 points? We know the names, but what are they? So intro. Intro is relatively self-explanatory. Intro is an introduction of the necessary ideas, an introduction of the information, of the general position, of the general document, or of the general idea. The introduction generally includes our introductory statement or our key statement, which is basically an explanation or a position that you have of what the rest of the text will contain or what the rest of your essay will be about. Okay? Now, after you've introduced the general idea to the reader, we have info. And info is also pretty clear what it is. It's information. Something very important about information is that in your essay, you need to include facts, okay? Not opinions. And this is something very important. Your opinion does not go here. Your info has to include data, hard evidence, hard facts, and nothing else, really. It should include numbers, people, places, any information that is objective and does not depend on your opinion goes here. For example, if you're writing a sales report as an essay, here is where you would include prices, profit margin, taxes, costs, salaries, etc. All of these facts would go here. Okay. And then we go on to analysis. What is analysis? Well, this is also pretty straightforward. Analysis is the interpretation of these facts. It is how we use this information. If a reader is reading an essay, he will first read the introduction, so he has a general idea of what is happening. Then they will read the info, meaning that they will have the necessary elements, the necessary facts, and then you have to give the analysis. You have to tell the reader what to do with those facts. How are we going to interpret them? A very simple example also using sales would be to use the facts that maybe our sales are going down. Maybe we had a bad year, but we know that our prices have been increasing. So a very simple analysis of that information is maybe our prices are too high and thus our sales are going down. We need to do something about it. So now that we've interpreted the information, we have to give ideas. Okay. And this is where opinions can come in. This is where you could give propositions. Okay. This is where you might develop or start developing the idea of a plan, of a future task. This is where you might suggest that you should lower the price, or you might have to enact a different strategy. Okay. And this leads directly into conclusion. You naturally can deduce what a conclusion is. Most languages have a very similar word for conclusion, and most people understand what a conclusion is. This is the final piece of the essay, the final idea, the key of everything that you've said. Okay, this is the closing point and the most important point in an essay, in a talk, in a speech, in anything. The key part of a conclusion is what we call a call to action, meaning a proposal when something is suggested, a final plan, a final idea, a final opinion, and especially a motivation for the reader to either do or think something. A call to action in this example that we're talking about would be, we need to modify our consumer relations, or we need to be closer to our customers by having more accessible prices. That one final statement can sum up the whole essay. After we've given an introduction, information, we've analyzed that information, now we're giving a conclusion that finalizes the whole thing. It ties it together nicely in a very, very clean idea. Okay, that is the conclusion. Now, guys, those are the general points of an essay and narrative. You can use either one of them depending on what you need, whether it's a test, a homework, a personal speech, a wedding speech even. It depends on the context. But as long as you practice these 4 points or 3 points, depending on your situation, you will probably get it right. Remember, giving less information is usually not enough, and giving more information is usually not necessary. It's voluntary, but it's not always going to make things better. That is a golden key of writing and even of speaking. So guys, I hope you found this helpful, this very short, very basic explanation of what writing is and what you should do. I would suggest that you practice this. Think of a topic. It can be any topic. It can be sports, it can be business, or it can be your own personal experience. Choose one of these 3 topics, write a short little essay, and hey, share it with a tutor here on Cambly. That's what we're here for. On Cambly, there are literally thousands of tutors, and many of us specialize in either pronunciation, grammar, writing, you name it. So you can come on here and we can help you with your writing. If you're not a member of Cambly, you should be one now. Hope to see you there. Bye.